joining me here on our first night of Elevate Your Networking with Emotional Intelligence. I am your trainer and coach, Coach Kimberly Williams. I am a certified anger management facilitator as well as a certified emotional intelligence workshop facilitator. I'm very excited to be here with you today to have this opportunity to introduce you to some of the ideas and intricacies that surround emotional intelligence and networking. The goal for this video is not only to be an introduction to you, but to also introduce you to some new ideas to change the course of how you network and how you navigate that arena. It's very important that we get some small intricacies out of the way. Some of those intricacies consist of how to work with me. You can go to coachwithkim.org or follow me on all social media platforms at It's Coach Kim with two M's, and I'll be elated to talk to you about the programming that we have available. I teach all things emotional intelligence when it comes to corporate training, leadership development, effective communication, conflict resolution. And my favorite in the DEI space is intergenerational connectivity. The way that I choose to use emotional intelligence in my courses is by laying the foundation of the five pillars. We know the five pillars of emotional intelligence to be self awareness, self regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skills. These five pillars create a foundation that calls us to be able to transcend not only the way that we feel and think, but also the way that others feel and think in order to communicate a common goal or common ground. When you are in a work environment or a relational environment, it's important to know that there are three dynamics happening at once. Someone is listening, someone is learning, and someone wants to be heard. You are all three of those people, but not all at the same time. And so is the person you are interacting with. So I want to dig right into navigating our networking with this emotional intelligence training today. And one of the first things that I like to talk to my clients about in our first meetings are their goals. I want to know, one, what are your goals when you go into a networking space? Whether it is one of those B and I meetings or just a cocktail or mixer where they're filled with all of these entrepreneurs, what are the goals when you go there? I like to start off with three goals because three goals are bite sized, they're manageable. These are smart think goals that I can assess, I can track, and I can analyze the data from whether or not I am able to facilitate in a way that reaches my goals. And if there are things that I need to change along the way, there is not a conglomerate because my goals are streamlined to three areas. My first goal when I go into a networking event serves the space. My second goal will serve the organization or business that is putting on this event. And my third goal, which is not the least, although it's the third, is to serve my business. So initially, I am going to check out this space to see whether or not it is a great functioning space. If they're serving food is good there, if the feng shui of this space is something that I could see myself using in more than one occasion, not only myself, but also can I recommend this space to my clients? I'm always on the hunt for the next jewel, that next space that I can go into to host an event or in order to facilitate a meeting with a client that I need to understand and be able to listen to. And we have a space where we can interact, where it's more intimate, private, but also in the public eye. Serving the organization that is putting on this event or business. The way that I am serving this organization or business is by one, being showing up as my best self, putting my brand forward, and beginning to have conversations about this organization while I am in this space. When I say having conversations, I mean something as simple as asking a person how they heard of this event. I know as a business owner that branding, marketing, and advertising is the bulk of our dollar. And when we are putting on an event, we want a ROI and we want to be able to collect data. That's why most of the times you see a lot of these businesses doing surveys or organizations doing surveys because they want to know, did this thing work? And if it did not work, what do they need to change? And so I take it upon myself to ask people how they heard of it so that when I am given an esteemed review, my review is full of the information that I've collected from the various individuals that I've been able to interact with throughout that night. I get to learn about the types of people who do business with this business. And I get to put myself in a position to where now I am serving someone other than myself and my own selfish interest or selfish gain. As a networker, you want to be servant first. Now, the last one, which I told you is not the least, it's actually the largest of them all, is the one that takes up the bulk of the conversation we're having today. And the reason this one is taking up the bulk of the conversation today is because this is the one that you invest in on a regular basis. This business and entity is not only a representation of who you are, but it's a representation of the way that you do business and you want others to do business with you. So when I show up and I'm thinking about how this networking event can serve me as a business, I am looking at potential partnerships. I am looking at potential business uh, shared interest. I'm looking at ways that we can impact our community and industry together, how we can impact the ecosystem that we thrive in our area, in our sphere together, whether we are international, national, local, or community based businesses. And then also, I am looking at the way that they serve businesses like mine. So, as I show up as a veteran, as I show up as a woman, these are areas in which I represent as a business and an individual. So that means that I do business with other veterans and other women. And so the opportunities for this business to gain an audience with other women business owners and other veteran business owners is high when they are talking to me. So I understand the intrinsic value of me being in this space. And once I have an understanding of what the value is that I bring into this space, now that shifts how I show up. Now, I want to get into the showing up. I want to get into the way that we present ourselves when we show up from the very RSVP. When you decide that you want to come to someone's networking event, the level of attention to detail and shared interest that you show speaks to what you choose to gain or your expectancy to gain from this event. So, for example, there is a mixer going on with one of the networking groups that I'm a part of. That's my corporate networking group, it's my core group. And when I think about some of the things that they are interested in, I think, or we're doing in this mixer, I think about other businesses that can benefit from this, other people who represent businesses that can benefit from this. And so when I RSVP, I bring my network with me and I start to send text out in other media forms in order for them to know not only am I going to be here, but you should be here too. So the way that I show up, the value that I am starts well before the actual event. Whether it's because I scoped out the actual location or it's a place I've been before prior to, and I have knowledge of the way that the service is, the way that the food is, or just the atmosphere in a whole. I am speaking of this thing on all platforms. I am talking about how great it is, how much of an awesome time you'll have there. I am speaking of the organizers and the way that they do business in such a way that you would think that it's my event. The reason that I do that is because I want to ensure that the time that is had suits and benefits us all. So, whomever that it is that I can bring into this room makes it a better experience for me because I will have familiar faces. It makes it a better experience for those that are coming because they get to impact or have an impact and an ear from a crowd that they may not have seen before. And I know that I do business with great people. And so I'm bringing great, solid individuals into the space. And so I can be comforted in that, knowing that the integrity of the space is not compromised. It's a firm foundation. So that's before the event, how I show up. Now let's talk about gearing up and getting ready to go to the event. When we look at the type of event or venue that it is, it's important that we represent ourselves, but we also match the aesthetic of the space. I don't mean to compromise the way that you show up or your brand, but I mean to suit the space in a way that you stand out in a good way. So that when you walk past, someone's got your belt or your brooch or your hairstyle in their eye. And so now, because of how you have presented yourself, they are intrigued and they're going to, that's a conversational piece all by itself. So it creates an opportunity to interact and relate to someone without you ever having to speak. Because remember, this is about quiet connections and mastering the art of networking with emotional intelligence. So when we show up in this way and we have thought through not only how we can present ourselves, not overdoing it, not so subtle that we're missed, but just right on. And so for me, I want to give you an example. I am new to this area, and therefore the climate is different than what I'm used to. And so I had to begin to study what other business owners would wear in certain environments in order to still be brand first while being on par with the season. And so, because I took the time to study prior to, like, this is not something I chose the day of, this is something I've studied. This is something that I've taken my time to invest in because I am the type of personality who likes to be able to put my best foot forward, my brand foot forward. Then I am making sure that I am understanding what I am walking into, if that makes sense. So, you know how they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's true. And also be true to the brand that represents you. So, we want to make sure that we are integral, that we are representing ourselves and what we have, and the way that we want to show up. We can feel comfortable and confident. Now, I've talked about before, right? I've talked about how to advertise and share in the lifting, the heavy lifting of the, marketing of this event, right? And then I talked about how to bring your own sphere and circle of friends into this space, even if it's just one or two, so that you can have a comfort level, because you know others in this space. And then we talked about our appearance, right? And making sure that we are functioning within the space in a way that's comfortable, and it can also leave us confident. So, just in case the floors are cement, we want to wear, ladies, shoes that will be conducive to us being able to move and navigate around the room without causing ourselves pain or the appearance of pain. Okay. And so, now I want to talk about when you finally step into the space. All of that was pre-prep. Okay. So I want to talk about when we step into the space now. So as we are stepping into this new space, then what we are able to do now is cue the 70% of communication. That 70% is nonverbal communication. So the way that your head is held, the level of your eye contact, the way that your shoulders are squared, the confidence in your hands. Are they limp? Are they strong and firm? Are they anxious? The way that you stand within your footing, and the way that you look around that room, and how you begin to walk forward into that space. How do you open the door? Can you believe all of this feeds into the comfort level that you feel and how you network, and how others then perceive you when you step into this space? Because remember, we're talking about emotions here. Emotions are the things that we feel, the things that we respond to, the way that we react. Our bodies naturally react to our emotions. Our words are our responses to these emotions, and our actions are responses to these emotions. And keep in mind, you have a goal for this event. And so you want your goal and the outcome to be conducive to your mission in the first place. Correct? All right. So when you walk into a space and you want to appear to be more confident, then you, ladies, our hair is away from our face, right? Away from our face. We're showing our full face, whether it's because we pulled our hair back or it's hanging down, which it's fine that it's hanging down. But when you have, I call my hair big hair, you have big hair like me, understand that your hair is a very dominating feature. And so that is the first thing that people are going to see. So we want to make sure that our hair care and the smell of our hair and its upkeeptness is conducive to what we want to portray when we walk into that space. That's the first line of confidence. Did she take a moment with her hair? The second is your smile. Is it a strained smile because you're nervous, or is it a free smile because you're happy? Can people see themselves melting in your face? And if you are not a smiler, practice smiling in the mirror, because we're going to a space where we want people to relate to us, hear us, understand what we offer, and want to work with us. This is the space that you want to show yourself to be friendly. So we smile. Now, I like to wear lipstick because I feel like it gives me a little bit of age. I don't look like a child when I'm in spaces. Okay, you don't have to wear lipstick. I do. But if you choose to wear lipstick, understand the color lipstick and what it communicates. That's a whole nother series, and we'll get into that later. But let's just say we apply some lipstick and our hair is kempt and we have our shoulders squared. And when we walk into the room, we're not looking anywhere but straight on. And we may turn to our left or our right, depending upon what our dominant side is. But we are standing with our shoulders back and our spine up, our chin level, right? Because we don't want to seem too arrogant and we don't want our head down as if don't know why we're in the room. So we walk into this space sure of why we're here, right? And now, normally, either we're scanning for a seat, a familiar face, the host, someone that we can shake hands with. And we go right in that direction, but we're also keenly looking to see if we're passing anyone else because we want to at least smile and give them a hello or an acknowledgement of a hello. You know that smile? All right. So when you are approaching your next event, I want you to approach this event aware that you have goals when you get there. Aware that not only are people observing you for what you show them, your brand foot forward, but also they are listening to how you make them feel. And this is without words. I want for you to be able to navigate these networking spaces with emotional intelligence, confidently, self aware, regulating yourself. And this is all we're talking about right now. We have only talked about dealing with us before we get there and once we step into the room. So I'm grateful that you've been able to tune in today to our Elevate Your Networking with Emotional Intelligence, Quiet Connections, Mastering emotional intelligence. I'm very excited that you decided to join me. If you are not familiar, I am Coach Kimberly Williams. I'm excited that we had the opportunity to share in this space. And I would love for you to continue to join me on this journey as we elevate the way that we show up in our networking. I know that you've created three goals, and those three goals not only serve the venue, the organizer or business that's having the event, but also your business. All right. And so we want to have three strong goals and make sure that they are serving three areas that have two areas that have nothing to do outwardly with you, and one that has intrinsically everything to do with you. And I want for you to navigate these spaces like a master. You got this. I know you do. I'm so excited about seeing you grow. I'm very excited about the way that you are showing up. There are so many opportunities this year to network and to negotiate and navigate based on your worth. So show up worthy, show up full of value, know who you are, and I cannot wait to see you in our next class. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being here. Please visit me at www.coachwithkim.org so that we can talk about how to champion your emotional intelligence for the long game. See you next time.